Yo, what's going on, guys? What's up, chats? I wanted to make a video real quick today about a few things in Valorant. I came across a tweet on Twitter and it got me thinking a bit, and I was thinking about a few different things, and I wanted to talk about this tweet I saw and also just Valorant as a game, the nature of it as a whole, right? I saw this. Let me talk about the tweet first. So I saw this tweet on Twitter, and it was actually from Sage Mommy. I'll show you guys right here. It was this tweet right here. It was actually a couple days ago. I genuinely feel like I get worse and worse at Valorant, and it's so unbelievably frustrating. And it got me thinking because I feel like I've heard this a lot before, and I personally have never really felt this way. Not that I think I'm really good or anything, but just because I didn't really understand it, but I started thinking about it some more, and it actually makes quite a lot of sense due to a lot of things and just Valorant as a whole, right? And just the nature of Valorant. So first, let me talk about why I think this can kind of happen, where you feel like you can get worse at Valorant, or just anything in general, games in general. I think Valorant is a very popular game. Obviously, there's a lot at play, right? There's things always changing. There's things always being added. Balance changes always being adjusted. Metas are always changing, and I think a big thing that actually people don't really talk about is people are always improving at this game. People are always getting better. People are always kind of raising the skill ceiling. There's always new people coming in too, but especially like assuming you're not a new player and you're kind of climbing the ranks yourself, it's like there's going to be a lot of players that have been playing for a while, same as you. And well, think about it like this. If it's a race, right? And you have people going, it's like, let's say you reach a certain skill level, and then like other people also reach that skill level, but then you're a little bit better, right? It's like, yeah, you're better, but if you stop playing for a while and they keep playing and they keep improving, eventually they'll surpass you, right? And not only that, actually, not even just if they keep playing, but if they improve more or they have a faster rate of improvement and learning, then you'll kind of just be left behind. It's why you have all these players who used to be like Immortal, Diamond, or Radiant, or whatever, like these people from episode 1, episode 2, who are now like Hardstuck, Plat, or Diamond, right? Because, okay, so here's the thing. Here's my take, by the way, on people who reached Immortal early. If you were able to reach Radiant or Immortal, like Act 1, Act 2, or whatever, just like really early on in the game's lifespan, I think the game has kind of changed, right? If you're able to reach a high rank very early in a game's lifespan, I think it means you have the unique ability of picking up things quickly, or you have experience from another game, right? So like a lot of CS players came to Valorant and they already had a really good idea of what to do. So that's one thing. But the other thing is that I think if you got to a high rank in Valorant early, maybe you're really good at learning quickly and picking up on things, but then you maybe, this is also for people that are coming back now after not playing for years or however X amount of time. It's just like, oh, the game's so different now and now it's so hard, right? It's because the game has been out for 4+ years, and you have people who have been playing consistently, not like for 4 years, maybe not even for 4 years, 3, 2 years, 1 year, right? That are practicing every day, playing every day, who have been watching competitive Valorant, watching streamers, and it's just like all of these things that are upping their game sense, upping their skill. It's just like, I'd say that's the biggest factor, right? I don't want to go too long on this because I think there's other things I want to talk about, but it's just the fact that people, like, resources are always becoming more and more available. Like, of course, there were resources when the game first came out, but, not as much knowledge was known then, and there wasn't that much knowledge to be shared. But these days, it's like, there's so many resources to improve, so many good Valorant YouTubers, like Woohoojin's my personal favorite, by the way, shout out to him, I think he's really good. But there's just so many things out there, right? And as time goes on, more and more resources become available, more and more people learn, and people are practicing for longer and longer. That's also why it's like you see games very late on in their lifespan, it becomes very hard. Like, I think a good example is League. League's been out for so long. Like, League is like the most intimidating competitive game. I think everyone knows this. Everyone that I know that doesn't play League tried it once, they thought it was too hard and they just quit. And especially with League, a game that's been out for 10+ years, these people have been playing forever, they know the game like the back of their hand, and it's just really hard. And it's kind of like that with Valorant. It's like the longer Valorant goes on its lifespan, it's not going to get harder and harder to learn, but it's like you have these people who are playing every day, and not even like people taking Valorant super seriously, even just casual players, that are just playing for fun every day. But the issue is that if they're constantly improving and practicing, and you're not, even if you are playing every day, if you're not trying to do things better, and that doesn't mean you have to be like obsessed with improvement or anything. It just means like having a little bit of a feedback loop, just a little bit, like, oh, maybe I died to this time. You don't have to be like, I don't think you got to take it that seriously. But all I'm trying to say is that if you feel like you're getting worse, it usually comes down to how you're playing the game, right? And compared to the general masses or other people, especially like in ranked, right? And then the other thing I want to talk about is Valorant as a whole, the nature of the game, and why I think Valorant's a very unique game. And I think this is a game that not that many people talk about in terms of game design, why it's very kind of geniusly made, but it's also like really tough, because it's really smart with the way Valorant is made, because it's really easy for new people to play, and when new people play with each other, you can feel like you're good really easily playing against other noobs. But it's like, it's actually really, it gets really hard once you reach a certain point or reach a certain level. And I think it comes back to the FPS genre as a whole, tactical FPS. And the way Valorant is designed it's designed kind of like a chess game, but I mean, not everyone plays it that way. But I think the biggest thing is, if you want to play Valorant to the best of your ability, or at a high level, not even a high level, but just like, well, if you want to play the game well, it's like you kind of have to be in a certain mindset, in my opinion. It's not a game where other games where it's like once you have certain knowledge, you're automatically at that skill level. Valorant's a game where you can have all the game knowledge in the world, but if you aren't focused, if you don't have that attention span, if you aren't ready to react like that, it's like, I always say this on stream, so I might sound like a broken record to some people, but it's like, I think Valorant is very demanding on your mental, not in terms of like mental strength with ranked, like doing with other people, although that definitely can be something, but rather demanding on your mental strength, like your brain, right? Because it's a game that is very focused on information, the lack of it, and gaining information quickly, and how you react to that, right? It's not just a game of speed. It is a game of speed, but it also isn't. It's hard to explain. I didn't really like thought out all my thoughts really that well, but it's basically just like, Valorant, the nature of the game it is actually a hard game. I know that there are people in rating who's like, oh, this game is easy, but I think those are also people who naturally have certain mindsets or abilities to like tap into like a certain kind of competitive factor that they need, that maybe not everyone is able to do. Like, I know myself, I have this thing where I will jump into ranked or I'll just be chilling casually, and I'll just like want to play with my friends, or just like take ranked and just kind of just chill. But it's like, you can't really do that with a competitive game like Valorant, because even you as like a high ranked player, you could go against like a bronze silver player, and if that bronze and silver player is attentive as fuck, and they're fucking dialed in and focused, and you're just kind of taking it easy, and you're just like watching an angle like this, and you're just like whatever, it's like they will fucking peek that angle with intent to kill. And then you'll just be like kind of chilling and relaxing, and okay, maybe you strafe and you could outplay them, but it's just like, if they have that kind of hunger, then they will just beat you, right? And that's why it's like, skill is such an interesting thing in this game, because I think there is skill, but I think a big part of performing this game actually comes down to like your state, your competitive state, and your mental state while you play that specific game. I think that's why like I can like play Swift play and like play absolutely terrible just because I don't care, and I'm just playing to chill, and then you'll run into people who are just like reacting super fast and just super focused, dial the freaking, and just like, yeah. So I wouldn't say, if you basically, it's like TLDR, let me go back to this tweet. It's just like, I also thought this was kind of interesting. Take a break, you'll come back and feel amazing. I can see that too. I think the thing with taking a break is, I think taking a break could be good, but I think it all comes back to how your mental state is when playing the game. Like, I think in my opinion, this kind of ties into some other things, but I think how much you enjoy something correlates very heavily to how well you do that thing. Like if you really enjoy a thing, it's like you will do that thing 10 times better, which is why I think it's very important. Like if you're not having fun in Valorant, like you're just bored as hell and you're not really feeling it, it's just like your brain will have very little motivation to be attentive, especially if you have focus, like with attention span, you have ADHD or whatever. It's like your brain won't be there, right? If you're not having fun and you're bored, it's just like, who cares, you know, like what's the point in trying so hard? And sometimes, you know, get having a break, kind of coming back a bit later and refreshing your mind, that's kind of what rebuilds that kind of excitement, curiosity. But I think that's a very Band-Aid style fix. So I think the thing with Valorant is like the way you kind of play at a high level successfully whenever you play is you kind of always have to have that hunger and excitement to kind of play. And maybe you don't have to be like obsessed with the game or anything, but rather I think having a certain mental state of just doing things correctly, I think is very important. I just think Valorant's a unique game. It's not like League, it's not like fighting games, or like, for example, let's think about this, right? If let's say you play a fighting game like Tekken or something, it's like you have the knowledge, you understand neutral very well, you know how to play footsies, you know a bunch of really strong combos, and then you know that like for the rest of your life, right? And then like pretty much you are at a certain skill level forever, and like because you'll forever know a combo that'll work really well, right? Or a set of combo setups, you know your character really well, you know the matchups well. Meanwhile, in Valorant, it's like you could have really good map knowledge, you could know your agent well, you could know the meta well, and all of that, but then suddenly someone will jiggle peek you, and if you're not there mentally, you're not ready to react, you don't peek with intent to kill, it's like you'll just die. It doesn't matter how much knowledge you have. This is why you have a lot of coaches who are really good, right? Because they might not know a lot about the game, and they're very good in terms of information, decision making, all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to having that kind of survival, primal, reactive instinct, it's like it's not there. And it's something that I think like a lot of the best players are able to do is they're able to tap into that at will. It's not quite flow state, it's just like you basically, this is pretty much what it comes down to, is you need to kind of have that hunger to just fire at your enemies on will. You need to enjoy it, you need to have fun. I think you can definitely force yourself to play, but I mean, why are you playing in the first place, right? So you need to kind of have that excitement and joy, and you also just need to have a good feedback loop, but I don't think that's as important. What else? Plateauing is normal too, but I think that's a separate topic that goes into having good feedback loop, which is why it's like I think efficient use of time is very important too. Like if you're spamming games all day, that's good for things like muscle memory and mechanical skill, but if you're not thinking about, like what I like to do is whenever I die, I make a quick mental note of why I died. But yeah, if you're not really kind of reflecting, then I mean that's anything, right? You're just not gonna get better. Blah blah blah. Yeah, I don't know. Also, just like FPS genre in general is just really weird. There's this other tweet I saw. I want to show you guys actually. That Rohan God. For those of you who don't know, this guy, he's reached max rank in like every game, right? So like League, Valorant, all Riot games, and a bunch of other games like COD, Halo, or like I forget if he did Rocket League or not. But anyways, he reposted this video that I thought was really interesting, and here's the neuroscience behind why you can't shoot back. And again, this is like a little bit more off topic and technical, so I don't want to get too deep into it. But it's just like basically this video talks about, I mean, you guys can see the Twitter handle and like go to this if you want to watch the whole thing. But basically what this guy talks about is Valorant as an FPS game is like, he talks about how like your brain works and how when you see a target, like it's not just like you just shoot, or it's just like he basically talks about your mental and how the way you kind of seek out like your enemy and how you kind of view things changes the aspect on how you play the game. And he also talks about how like you can't just drink caffeine to play really well because caffeine is like an enhancer. But I don't know. Well, let me see if I can like play it and I'll briefly say it.
Major difference between flow state and energy drinks. Let's talk neuromodulation. So video games, input from a screen, executive function, brain processing, metacognition, muscle move input. Your level of excitability determines how...
Okay, wait. He actually says it right here. Listen, your level of excitability. Okay, I know it's really quiet. Wait, actually I can make this louder, I'm pretty sure.
Visual input, your level of excitability determines how fast you react to that.
See that right there? Your level of excitability determines how fast you react. That's why I always tell people, like, or that's why I think it's so important in Valorant. It's like the person who wants it more will always win. The team that wants it more always wins. It's like why you see teams like EG win champs, right? Out of nowhere, because the players may not be individually. That's why you can have games and players where it's like maybe the players individually aren't as skilled, and like player A may be more mechanically skilled than player B, but if player A wants it more and has a higher whatever the level, I think there can be, let's just call it the excitement, right? Whatever the cause of excitement is, whether it's desiring it more or having more fun, just like having that excitement will enhance your performance very greatly. That's why it's like it's the same thing as motivation, right? But it's kind of different. I don't know. I'll be honest, I'm not like a mental, like, I'm not a psychologist or anything, but the reason why I really talk about this is because I think anyone who plays a lot of competitive games could probably understand this feeling too, is like, it is a thing that exists, and I'm surprised more people don't talk about it, but anyways.
There are other factors at play, like your attention, your focus, etc., which you've...
Yeah. Attention, focus are also very important things. It's just like basically chat. It's very simple. It just comes down to your mental framework, right? Do you have the attention? Are you focused? Do you have the excitement? Those are, like, if you want to break into three things, you could break it into three things, keep it simple right there. But it pretty much comes down to when you load into your game, your ranked game or whatever, it's just like, make sure you have this checklist of things filled out. Make sure you're focused. Make sure you have the attention. Make sure you actually want to be there and play and you want to win. And you're not just like afraid to lose or whatever, right? I think in a game where information is very sudden, and by information being sudden, I mean like a character suddenly appearing on screen, and it's very unique actually. And the reason why I keep talking about it is because like in a fighting game, your opponent is constantly on screen, so you don't have to worry about like things appearing or disappearing, like somebody peeking an angle, right? Or even in like League, yeah, you don't have information, like there's people in the jungle or whatever, but it's like when you see someone, you usually see them for a long time before you engage in a fight. Like in League, you generally have a lot of time to react for like team fights. Not always, and there's definitely cases where people appear, but it's like nothing like Valorant, where it's like you swing a corner and boom, the time to die is so short. That's the other big thing. The time to die in Valorant is very, very short. It's like as soon as you see someone and you make one mistake, you just die, right? And I think that's why also feedback loop for Valorant can be really tough, because if you're someone who learns through failure or learns through trial and error, becoming a better player through trial and error in Valorant is very difficult. Because let's say you play a fighting game and you get hit 50 times before you learn something, right? It's like that could be in the span of one game, because you can get hit hundreds of times in one game, right? Meanwhile, Valorant, you could die 13 times in a game, and that's only 13 attempts, and then boom, there's like 40 minutes in a ranked game down the drain, right? It's very difficult because the room for mistake is so little, the time to die is so fast, feedback loop is really hard. That's why kind of thinking about things, having the right attention span and all these things is very important, right? Because you could be a very good player and know a lot of things, but if you just are mentally checked out and not there, it's like none of the knowledge and everything you have, none of it will matter.
We've already discussed about flow state, but in terms of its neuromodulatory mechanisms, or its energy and mood complex, as I'll call it, or is what it is in V2, we're looking at this diagram right here. So this is that whole highest quantity ingredient in there in every single other esports specific formula.
Okay, this isn't. I just want to highlight the beginning. I actually don't know this person at all, but yeah. Anyways, guys, that's like pretty much all of it. I just want to make this video because the one video I made a while ago, like a couple weeks ago, you're playing Valorant wrong. A couple people came in my Twitch chat and said they enjoyed this kind of video and they wanted me to make more where I talk about improvement in rank and all that. So I figured I'd push this out real quickly and just say that yeah, it's not just you, it's your mental and how you view things, and that people are always improving. If you're not also improving, then you're just going to be left behind. That's all I gotta say pretty much for this video. Yeah, thanks for coming around, and let me know if you guys have any thoughts in the comments. Yeah, probably have more I forgot to say, but I forgot. That's all. See you guys. Peace out.